Hi, everyone. We're here with Philippe Cousteau, and I'm so excited to meet you in person. And if you know the name Cousteau, I grew up as a little girl seeing Jacques Cousteau, and so I think that kind of opened my eyes to the world of the ocean and marine life and the beauty of it. And so now you're carrying forward that legend, and tell us about your experiences with the ocean.
Well, you know, Tiffany, I grew up with conservation with the ocean, with my grandfather, who I knew. He passed away when I was about 17, so we got to spend some really good time together. He certainly inspired me to do the work that I do today. I run a nonprofit. We empower young people to take action to improve the health of the environment. I do a lot of television work as well. I work with CNN. I have a TV show syndicated on Fox. We do a lot of different work because there is nothing better than going out and exploring the world.
You are a big explorer. You have such a roster of things that you're doing. So I went on a plastic pollution expedition myself this summer.
Terrific.
So that was my big expedition, my big experience out there. And we went from Bermuda to Iceland. I'd never been on a boat overnight,
Wow.
so it was a big deal for me.
That's a big crossing.
And there was plastic in every sample that we took. What do you think with the ocean, and maybe there's not just one thing, is it plastic pollution? Is it acidification? Is it climate change? Is it overfishing? What is our biggest challenge with the ocean, do you think?
I would say carbon. And carbon leads us to climate change and sea level rise and warming oceans. It leads us to ocean acidification. It causes all those things. So I'm just going to say kind of all of the above. In carbon is kind of the big bad one. Fundamentally, as you said, the chemistry of the oceans are changing. The oceans are getting warmer, sea level rise. Plastic pollution, which is a carbon-based product, which is why it doesn't go away, is a huge issue. 20,000 pieces of plastic in every square kilometer of ocean, roughly, on average, and that's not including the areas where it's concentrated, like in the gyres, the garbage patch everybody hears about. So I would say carbon.
That's a good answer. So that, again, brings it all together. It's all of the above.
But what that means is that for us as people, it's all about then the food that we eat. It's about how we move ourselves around. It's about the clothes that we buy. And carbon affects every part of our lives. And so that's the other thing that I try and turn around and say, well, then it's relevant to all of us. And all of us have a negative and positive impact in the choices we make. And the question is, how do we make better choices?
So important. And so that's a big thing that you do is educating the youth. Earth Echo, can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Earth Echo is an organization we founded 10 years ago. And our mission is to empower young people to take action that restores and protects our water planet. My grandfather called our planet our water planet. We're really about building the army, so to speak, growing the constituency of the next generation to care about these issues and to understand that they're complicated. It's about more than just recycling. We need to think about them in a big, integrated way. And so we need to train young people through education to be able to think like that and to become the problem solvers that we need.
You know what I think is so great is that you're actually out there taking action. When you were little with your grandfather, what was your first maybe memory or experience that he gave you about the ocean or about anything?
My grandfather was an amazing storyteller and won't come as a surprise to anybody. Growing up, though, I never had the opportunity really to go on expedition with him because he was pretty old by the time that I was old enough to do that. We spent a lot of time together, and I remember one time that he taught me a very important lesson, to always look at the world around you with new eyes and fresh eyes. At the end of the day, he was a problem solver and an innovator. And I remember I was 11 years old, and we were having dinner in New York, and we were talking, and Game Boy, the Nintendo Game Boy had just come out. And Game Boys today, kids would look at it and scratch their heads because it was this big, bricky, heavy thing with this tiny little black and white screen. But at the time, it was like the coolest thing on the planet.
For you were super excited.
I was super excited about Game Boy. I remember at dinner, the topic came up. My grandfather turned to me, and he said, what about Game Boy? Have you seen this? Have you heard of this? I was like, oh my God, you're singing my song here. Every 11-year-old boy dreams about Game Boy. And he had one. And I know he spent a fair few hours on Tetris. And what I learned from that experience, though, is he turned to me and said, one day, Philippe, these tools, like these electronics, like games, will not just be for entertainment, they'll be for education. We will be able to use these kinds of tools to inspire people further. Always look at technology, always embrace these new ideas, and find ways that we can use them to inspire people. And so here it was, an 81-year-old man who was more excited about Game Boy than I was, and I didn't think that was possible at 11 years old. And it really just taught me that to forever be young, to always look at the world in a different way, to always try and innovate and inspire people.
That is a beautiful message and such a great thing for your grandfather to leave you. I used to watch the show with my grandmother, and I think it did because now you've got Give. Tell us about Give. This is such a great concept.
And I realized that a lot of the challenges and problems that we have from an environmental perspective and a social perspective are economic problems. We launched a few years ago the first actively managed exchange-traded fund on Wall Street with a sustainable mandate called the Global Eco Fund. And our ticker symbol on the New York Stock Exchange is GIVE, G-I-V-E. And it's just been a terrific experience, and it's been a terrific project. Everything is sustainable in the fund, and then we take a percentage of the revenue from that fund and invest it in a foundation. And we built solar panels in hospital in Congo as our first project to empower women in environmental conservation. It's been a great journey, really looking at how we can innovate and use financial markets, because most of us have investments.
I'm invested, by the way, in GIVE.
Yes, I know, with Alana. I know, our mutual friend. Thank you for that. But most of us have investments. A lot of us certainly do. And so we wanted to help people realize that, it's not just about the money you donate or the things you do to volunteer or recycle or whatever it is. It's also where you put your money. And you can put your money in a place where you make money and change the world. Imagine that. You can have the best of both worlds.
And how was GIVE available? It seems like, how could that name be available?
For a 4-letter ticker symbol, take was probably gone a long time ago, but GIVE. So, certainly Wall Street's realizing that economics, sustainability, and environmental sustainability go hand in hand for the medium and long run, and even the short run.
You're also newly married. What's next? Is there a next? What are you doing?
Next, we just launched a series that I host that's syndicated Saturday mornings on Fox. It's also available on Hulu called Awesome Planet. We're traveling around the world exploring earth sciences and the nature of our world.
Dream job.
It's
oh my
bad.
God.
We just got back from Croatia. We were in Iceland, Hawaii, etc. I'm also filming a documentary with my wife, Ashlyn, about orcas and wild orcas. Everybody's really fired up about blackfish right now, about orcas in captivity, and rightfully so. We wanted to ask the question, what about orcas in the wild? And the only resident population of orcas in the United States is endangered. Trying to stay busy.
I'm exhausted listening to it, but I am very impressed. Thank you for everything you do, and good luck with everything.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tiffany.